So welcome back here at Fashion Sustain.Conference. I hope you're still in the bingo mood. Was quite funny with Max, I guess. So I hope hopefully you had a lot of good results. Right now, we are in front of the headliner, the last panel for today. We are connected fully digitally with 3 exciting guests. I'm really looking forward to it. And we, throughout the whole day, we had the topic of transparency. And right now we want to dig deeper in this field. And we will put a focus on carbon and water footprints. And this is why we have experts from OEKO-TEX and Quantis here. And we have a specialist from the fashion industry, Mr. Schellenberg, who really knows how to apply these technologies in the daily business. So I'm really happy to introduce my guests. We have Angela Adams. She is from Quantis. And then we have Sönke Giebeler from OEKO-TEX, and as I mentioned, Urs Schellenberger from Schellenberger Textildruck AG. So I would hand over to you guys and ask you to introduce yourself quite quickly.
Sure, maybe I could.
Sönke, maybe you can just start
away.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Hi, I'm Sönke Giebeler. I'm head of business development here at OEKO-TEX, and I'm actually responsible for our product portfolio, so meaning our certification services. And yeah, I'm particularly eager to design our certifications in order to meet future challenges such as environmental protection, and therefore looking forward to talk about our carbon water footprinting tool today.
Thank you. So Angela, maybe you're next to say what brings you to us.
Thank you. So hello, everyone. My name is Angela Adams, and I am the Senior Sustainability Consultant and Global Apparel Lead at Quantis. I've been at Quantis now for nearly 10 years, and we work with companies across many different sectors, looking at how we can minimize environmental impacts based on the activities that we have today. So very nice to be here.
Yeah, great to have you here. Urs, what about you? What should we know about you and your company?
Welcome from my side also. Urs Schellenberg from Switzerland. We have a textile finishing plant here near Zurich. We have 100 employees. We do around 6 million meters per year here in Veralto. We dye the fabric, we print the fabric, we finish the fabric, we make the complete treatment here. We work for the bigger global or the big European brands like Kalida, like Mai. Where we do our jersey products. Sustainability is very important in our company. We are level 3. We have the detox to zero, and also our whole production is cradle to cradle gold certified. Per day, only some values per day, we need 500,000 liters of fresh water to run our production. And per year, we need around 20 gigawatt hours per year gas. So really big amount of energy we use every day and every year.
Wow, thank you all. Quite impressive numbers to the start. Really interesting. I think we will dig a little bit deeper in how you will apply the new technology in your company. But first, so you provided us with some data, with some numbers. I would forward this to Angela. If you want to get transparency in certain fields of the supply chain and in the production processes, you have to collect data. And what would you say, where to start? What kind of data should be collected? What kind of information from the processes is needed to start?
Great question. So we basically need data on input side and on the output side. So when we're looking at inputs, we need to know how much electricity is being used, how much heat or steam, how many chemicals and what type of chemicals, as well as the water. And on the output side, we're looking at wastewater and wastes, for example. And it's also important to know what types of materials are coming in, how much in terms of kilograms per year are being consumed, and where do these materials come from. So this is the kind of information that we would use to get started on a footprint.
Sönke, what's OEKO-TEX take on this topic, the data?
Yeah, I mean, gathering and managing data is very important for us nowadays. I think not only for us, but also for the industry, for the supply chain, even for brands. And I mean, we're gathering data since a couple of years, for example, for or within the STEP certification program, so for textile producers. And in general, it is our ambition to actually provide tools to the industry in order to measure and last but not least, to promote a more sustainable future, in particular environmental performance. So as mentioned, we are using data, for example, in online assessments. We are talking about chemical analysis. We are using data or information about supply chains to promote transparency. I'm speaking about our Made in Green label. And for us, it's not only about gathering this data, it's about seeing progress over time. We want to motivate these stakeholders to act, to improve, to start somewhere. So because we know it is not everything is perfect right from the beginning. Even if you identify, for example, a data gap, then have a deeper look into that topic and act, take corrective actions, set some goals. And this is actually not only our ambition, but this is also something we expect from our customers.
Thank you, Sönke. So still, this is talking about data is always a little bit abstract. So that's great that we have you here also. Maybe you can give us a little imaginary tour through your production facility. How does the collection of data work? How time consuming is it? I mean, it's not something that's collected by itself, right?
Yeah, that's correct. You need a good controlling system to collect all the data. For sure, you get from your big data, you get from your suppliers. When we buy gas, we get invoices. When we buy water, when we buy electricity, we have the invoices. So it's in general, it's relatively easy to make that we can say we have per year 3 gigawatt hours electricity. As I said, 20 gigawatt hours gas and 500,000 liter water per day. This is easy to analyze. But after what I hope or what I like now with the new tool from OEKO-TEX, that we go more in the details, in the process, that we find out where in our production are the big points where we use much energy, that we can figure out, or at least on the product, how much energy we need per product, per t-shirt, per underwear. And I think all of our companies, our suppliers, and also the sewing plants, they know the complete energy, but not in the details.
Yeah, quite exciting. So maybe, Sönke, you can give us a little bit insight how this tool was mentioned works, how you developed this, what we could, so to understand it a little bit better.
Yes, sure. I mean, it was a great introduction from Urs, actually, because he mentioned we're already gathering a lot of data, and we have several years of experience, and we were now at the right, or we took the decision now at the right time to channel those information, to use the data and summarize it into a carbon and water footprint, initially for producers. And why carbon and water footprinting? I mean, we believe that the scientific basis is nowadays very advanced. And in addition to that, that the awareness of the people out there, of consumers, of the industry, has also increased significantly. And this is why we are now combining our experience, the data we gathered from the industry, to combine it with scientific data, emission factors, processes, raw material data, etc., to come to a conclusion and to come up with a statement about the environmental performance of a textile producer, meaning the carbon and water footprint of the production itself.
Urs, could you maybe share some data you already collected with us? Do you have some on hand so we get an idea about some numbers?
Yeah, maybe Sönke, you have the slides which you can quickly show in. We said today we will not go in too much in the details of the data, because maybe if we see the slide number 2, Sönke, or the next one.
This one?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, this one is okay, correctly. this where we made the analysis with OEKO-TEX, with Giebeler, with Quantis together, the first analysis, and then we realized as we have seen the results, we have seen, okay, the main point is the water, the consumption, the main point is the chemicals, and the main point is the energy we use. And this is something what we also knew before. And then we see the values and we had to say, okay, we are not bad, but we are not on a level that we have to say we are much better than all the rest of the world. And this should be our goal, especially here in Europe. When we produce, then we have to make it on the highest level. And what I appreciate really in the new tool, if I take a look back in OEKO-TEX, we started with the OEKO-TEX 100. Then we went over to the 1000. And now we have the OEKO-TEX step. And if I take a look back, how they made the data sampling a few years ago to up to today, it's really great which detailed data has OEKO-TEX collected. And now we have to see, as I see the same in the CO2, we made the data analyze, and now we have general values. And now we have to go with the OEKO-TEX tool, we have to go in the details of the data. And this will grow every year, and we'll get better and better, because our goal, at least what is very important, that we have a ranking, that we as supplier or as production companies has a challenge to make good, that we have the challenge to use less energy and less water and less chemicals as possible. And this is controlled by OEKO-TEX. And then we see all the time where we are and what we can do to get better. And then we can also compare to our competitors, and at least also how we can show the customer who is going in the store to and buy a t-shirt. I think it's at the moment it's very difficult for the customer to know, okay, this t-shirt has 1,500 tons of CO2 saved or something. It's very difficult for the customer to make a ranking of this. But maybe we get A plus or F or E, like we have it in some other, like when we buy a car. Maybe we can work out something for the future.
Yeah, Angela, what would you say? Why do you think this tool is getting successful? Is it something like Urs just said, that it visualizes really abstract processes and it could result in something like a score, like in food we have in Germany, we have the nutrition score right now. Urs mentioned like fridges maybe, where you also can buy like A, B, C, A+, cars, you have efficiency classes. Is this something you think this might be a success factor to visualize the impact?
Yes, definitely. So I think that that's one of the advantages of having a tool, is really to be able to see, and also to take into account the synergy. So you're already collecting data for other certification purposes, for example. So why not use it to look for what is your carbon and water footprint? And then once you know what your footprint is, it gives you a first idea of where you have, some maneuver, some actions that you could take to reduce the footprint. Because if you don't have these measurements, then it's really hard to know what you should act on in priority. And we think that one of the other advantages of the tool is that it levels the playing field, that everyone measures their footprint using the same methodology, which is really important. And another piece is that Qantas were working with the European Commission and with the Sustainable Apparel Coalition and another 24 different partners right now in Europe, looking at how we do the footprinting for all apparel and footwear products sold in Europe. And the idea is that when these rules are approved, this will then lead to communication. And what the communication will be, I'm not sure, but this is the goal, is to help consumers to choose a greener product and give them access to this information.
So, but the first step to get, before we get those nice charts and so on, is that the facilities have to report their data, right? So
exactly.
So where are we now in this field? What do you think if you see the market, and what can you do if a facility might not report or disclaim the data that is necessary?
So I think this is another good thing with the tool is that what OEKO-TEX is trying to do is also to provide where it's possible, you can have access to default data in the first step, but we highly encourage you to do the effort to get the data, because then you really know where your baseline is and where you have the most power to affect change. So I think that that's one of the keys is really to to start somewhere and to improve over time. And that's another advantage of the tool as well, is that you can track progress year on year, and then you can communicate this, because it's not about I'm better than company X. It's also about how am I improving towards my goal over time.
Yeah, I see. So Angela already mentioned the step, OEKO-TEX step. Sönke, this tool will be included in this. So maybe you can give us an idea what benefits customers have from this, and when the tool will be available, or is it already available?
Yeah, the tool itself is developed as a standalone solution. However, yes, you're totally right. It will be embedded in our step certification. So our textile producers have simply the free of charge opportunity to use this tool. And we are actually, curious and looking forward to that our customers are using this tool. It's right now in the beta phase. And this is explicitly done like it is because we have a very close relationship with our step customers, and we're confident that we are getting great know-how and exchange or how the tool is used, where might be some bugs or something like that. And we're confident that we are through this beta testing end of this year and have the final available tool. So as mentioned, it will be an optional free of charge add-on for STEP, and it will provide not only the final carbon footprint or water footprint as a final figure, which you could use for communication. It will also give you a summary, a report, where you, for example, as a textile producer, can see your impact, the contribution per process. You can track the impact and performance of your produced materials, etc., etc. And this is, I think, not only very important for the producer itself, but also for others, such as brands, or maybe in the end also for, I don't know, everyone you're going to share this results with. And lastly, we will actually see how it's going, how the tool will evolve, and whether we can even extend the scope and open it up for not only STEP customers, but to make it available and beneficial for the whole industry. Let's see where we're going.
Yeah, thank you. So also you have been working with the tool already. So could you already use it to improve some things in your processes? And I think we have some insights and some slides more to share with our audience, right? So
Sönke, maybe have some other slides for sure. In the first step we made together with Quantis and OEKO-TEX, this was really on a basic level, and we already through to our production place here in Switzerland, we are already from the government, we need to collect the detailed information. So the first information we had to collect, this was relatively easy for us in Switzerland to get this data. Maybe the idea is not to make this tool for Europe, so to make it for the whole world, and maybe in some other countries that this tool is a very good base for starting with this CO2 carbon footprint. And we have to go, we start also with OEKO-TEX, and then we see how quickly we can get it in the next level. I trust their OEKO-TEX that they will do every year, every year we have to insert the data in the system. We will have new questions. We have to add new files that we get more and more in the details. This has to grow, this system. But I'm happy that OEKO-TEX is doing it, because they know over the last years, they know especially the step, they know very well the supply chains and also the suppliers. So that's, I think, with OEKO-TEX together, we can get the quickest way the best results.
All right, thank you. So I think we also have the chance to put some slides again on the screen. So then, Sönke, you can give us a sneak peek on how the tool looks like when working with it, right? So maybe this is
Sure.
the correct one, right? We have this one and one after that. So maybe you can give us a little tour and give me a sign if I should go to the next slide.
Perfectly. Yeah, Urs just mentioned it will grow. It might grow, yes, and it will definitely improve over time. But don't be afraid, actually, of gathering data and yeah, that you are, I don't know, overwhelmed of information if you see this tool, because this is actually my personal ambition, to make the tool also, yeah, user-friendly and to use only those data points where really, which are really useful and needed for the final evaluation. And this was also very important when we developed the concept together with Quantis. So it is scientific based, and we have LCA data in the background, which is now combined with the primary data from, for example, also other facilities out there. On this slide, you can simply see how it might look like. So as mentioned, it is under development. The concept itself is finalized, so it's now only about visualizing and doing the logic in the IT system. But you can see here, okay, firstly, the customer goes into the tool and has to indicate the amount of materials. They have to define the fibers, whether it is cotton, polyester, etc. And this is also, everything is defined in the background. So there are data sets which are in the background, which can and have to be used. You have, in this case, also specify the origin, because this is very important for the final figure of carbon or water footprinting. Where is this fiber coming from?
Do you also
And
have
on
to
the
say
right-hand side,
how the transportation works? If you say, okay, the fiber comes from Egypt, but it came via like a ship, is this something?
Yes and no. We are coming to the transportation. This is indeed, you can see it on the top bar, that transport is one key or one aspect we are asking the customer to provide us information with. However, and Angela, correct me if I'm wrong, but if we are saying, okay, the cotton is coming from India, then this transport aspect is also kind of covered in this data set of the respective country or region. But maybe, yeah, Angela can correct me afterwards. Just back to the tool, we have information box on the right-hand side, and you can see on the top bar, and if you go one slide further, that it's not only about materials. You as a supplier have to define your processes, because we know there are also huge differences. Having a look, for example, into a spinning unit or a vertically integrated producer who's doing dyeing, spinning, etc., the making up at the end. Because then, if you define this in the first place, you can have also a great overview of your contribution per process in the end.
Yeah, thank you, Angela. Anything to add on this one, or do you completely agree with what Sönke just said?
No, exactly. The transport is there. Also, there's a step on packaging and so on. And I think what's really important, like I said, is it gives you an idea of, what's the magnitude. And if you see that, you spent a really long time collecting a data point, and in the end, it's only 0.15% of your total carbon footprint, then maybe next time you don't have to go to the detail to find that exact number. But maybe for the case where you see that it's, 20% of your total footprint and you're just using it, kind of average data, that's when you would want to dig further. And that's where I think it's really important to get the feedback from, the different facilities and how they're using it, because the goal is to make it, user-friendly and understandable, but also to give you something valuable back and give you some levers for action.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe going as, Urs, you raised your finger.
Only, what I would add is that no, a lot of our companies, also suppliers, also they are working on the scope 1 level. So we know exactly what we use and what we do. But in the OEKO-TEX tool now, we have the possibility to work together with the brands on the scope 3 level, that we add all the transports and the packing and everything, so that we have at least a result for the product and not only point out some companies. So at least we need the final result, and this, I'm sure, the data we have, all suppliers, are really scope 1 level, but not the scope 3 level with all the transports and everything.
Yeah. Did you have any wow effects when you used the tool for the first time, when you said, oh, this is the main carbon driver, or this is the main water consumption driver in our production? I didn't really realize it's like this. Maybe that's a little bit too simple thought, but things like that where I said, oh, I didn't really realize that it's like that, and things you could change after that.
A really surprising moment I didn't have, but I'm all the time surprised how much energy and water we use to dye and to print and to dry this fabric to make at least underwear or something. So there I'm very often surprised about the amount of energy. But and I'm sure we can do it better also for the future, to work with maybe some companies who are not so strongly involved in the textile industry, to get new technologies, new ways to produce the fabric, and also to break out to the way of working we do every day, to get new processes. And this, I think, is also a big chance with these tools, that you get also in a new network, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
And speaking about simplicity, maybe Tim, you could also, I could complete my sneak preview with the last slide. There's one actually missing.
Oh,
it is actually about.
Sorry, I have to go back. Maybe it will come then. Oh yeah, we will have it in a second. There we are.
Perfect.
Sorry.
Yeah, because we talked about energy, and as mentioned, it is very important to have a look into the energy we're using. And here you can see another inventory aspect we are covering with this tool is for sure the electricity mix, where we can define the different energy consumption data per process. We can also say, okay, I know my specific electricity mix, and say, okay, it's, I don't know, X% from solar and Y% hydro energy or something like that, because you will identify in the end that this has a major impact on your carbon and water footprint, actually.
Okay. I don't want to miss the last slide, but this is only for the sneak review. We are not finished
exactly.
yet. We have some
There's more to come.
Oh,
and
no, that's good.
I think the summary page is under construction, etc. So we will inform you once we can show you more about that in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, just from my understanding, maybe other people are asking this as well. This tool works if one part in the whole supply chain works with it, right? If Urs uses it, he can work with it, or does every partner in the supply chain need to use it? Maybe Urs customers, maybe a Kalida or Mai, do they use the tool as well, or is it also possible that only Urs uses it and then you have a hang tag in the end as well?
Currently, it's for producers only. So it will be Urs, or it will be, for example, another producer in, I don't know, any supply chain you can imagine, textile producers in particular. For sure, our long-term goal is to summarize it also and bring it to articles, actually to an article level. And this would be, I believe this is much more interesting, or even more interesting than for brands, that they can say, hey, this article, this t-shirt, this towel, I don't know, is actually, or the carbon water footprinting is applied to this article, and you can see it, and you can maybe even use a QR code to see, okay, where the major impacts are, either from the article and the materials or the supply chain.
So just a thought I got, could this also be in the future maybe a tool that also applies up to the retail? Because many customers are asking themselves, is it more friendly, more carbon neutral to shop online, or is it better to go to the city by car? things like that? Is it environmentally friendly to shop online? Is it not, because you have a lot of packaging, you have a lot of shipment and so on? Is this a utopia where you could say, okay, this might be a dynamic thing, and it also could be applied to different distribution channels, and so the customer knows, okay, if I buy it on the shop next door, it's less carbon footprint than if I buy it on the e-com platform, or the other way around? Is this something, an idea, or is it completely out of space?
Not at all. Tim, you just applied for working in our team. I love that ideas, actually. And maybe, Angela, you have also made already some experience about these points Tim talked about.
Yeah, of course. I think that it's really important to look full circle, and especially also now with the more and more focus on circularity. So it's also what happens at end of life and how are the materials circulating back into the life cycle. And it's also about looking at new business models and new opportunities, because we do have to whether there's many levers that we can pull to reduce energy consumption, to switch to renewables and so on. What we really need to work on is a sustainable production and consumption. So it's also about how do we speak to the consumer and have them understand what this data means and what actions that they can take to also do their part. So.
Yeah, thank you. And maybe again, one utopia aspect. Right now, this is like data from the past, right? This goes into this this tool. Would it be like maybe one day connected with AI and some smart calculus, I don't know, to predict like the life cycle of the product and how much it will consume in the future? Maybe you can say, okay, we have this kind of seam. We know it's quite strong. It will last for at least so many washing cycles. So and if you have like another stitch length, it might not last that long. So you could maybe in the future put this into account as well, or would this be too abstract, too complicated?
No, I would say it's exactly in line with what we're seeing, that another key lever that we have is to focus on the product durability and also the duration of service, which are different. So, what is the quality of the product and how long does the consumer keep the garment before they pass it on to another chain, let's say. So this is something that we're taking into account in the calculations for the PEF. There will be different, a standard level, and if you've passed so many different tests, whether it be, on color fastness or seam strength, what have you, you can get, let's say, bonus points that your product will be used longer, because it all comes down to how do you measure the impact? Is it per product, or what is the function the product gives you? And in our case, it's 1 day of wear. So the more you wear your garment, the less impact it has over time.
Yeah, in another panel we had it just that one person said the most sustainable denim is the denim you already own, right?
Exactly.
Because it doesn't have to be produced again. So yeah. So, and what I was thinking was, what's your main driver, the main motivation for using this tool? There are different levels and aspects. You can maybe compare yourself with a competitor and say, okay, we use less energy, and I save not only energy but money as well. And then you go to the consumer who might be attracted to your product because the consumer knows it has a less impact on the environment. What are your main drivers to use the tool?
So in general, I think it's also my opinion. If we do something, we do have to do it as good as possible. Sustainability is for me also cost saving. The problem is at the moment that the price of gas, the price of oil, the price of the electricity is too cheap that the people that we change strongly. So the sustainability is money saving, and we have to follow this way, and also for the future to make the textile industry has a bad reputation everywhere. And for the future also, if we will get young people in our production, we have to make the textile industry modern, sexy, innovative. And I think there it is the only way if we make a sustainable production with very smart processes. And this should be our goal, and this is my motivation to follow, and nothing else.
Thank you. Angela, what would you say is, from your point of view, the biggest success factor for a tool like this? Is it the economic aspect, like saving money, or is it rather an emotional thing, like improve the reputation of the producer of the fashion of the whole industry?
That's a good question. So I would say that I think it's actually really about education, because I think right now that one of the big barriers is that it is a bit difficult. It's time consuming. Doing an LCA product per product is can be costly. And so this way it kind of simplifies this process. It gives you some information into, what are your hotspots and so on. And then it gives you these levers for action. And then it gives you the confidence to communicate on it, both at the consumer level and both with your suppliers, so that you can work together. And I think this is what we need to have transformative change, is to, stop waiting for things to be perfect and move forward and keep improving. And I would say that's one thing we didn't touch upon either, Sönke, was that with the data that's being collected here, it's anonymized, and we're using this data to constantly update the defaults and the data in the background, so that what comes in and what comes out, we start to improve that along with time as well, moving away from global averages to country averages to really detailed data based on industry facility data. So.
Yeah, thank you. So, Sönke, what would you say? How is the state of knowledge in the fashion branch right now? Do many people already know really how processes are and what certificates stand for? Or would you say there is a long way to go? Like we often hear from retailers, customers come in and ask things, and the personnel on the shop floor, they have to answer a lot of questions. So, do you think there's need for more knowledge transfer and more education within the fashion industry?
Yes, indeed. And we as OEKO-TEX, we see ourselves as a stakeholder of the industry, together with the producers, with the brands. And yeah, I mean, we want to provide them with information to actually be part of it, of this know-how exchange. And now also bringing other perspectives in, right? Taking the LCA sector, taking the collaboration with Quantis, maybe also speaking to, I don't know, if you think about recycling, then we have to take also into consideration the recycling agencies, recycling industry as such as well. Imagine the leather industry, then we're talking also partially about the meat industry. So it's very cross-sectional.
Mm. Yeah, quite interesting. So, what's your feeling? Is when you talk with different partners, business partners, is the level of knowledge on a good height, or is there still potential like to gain knowledge?
No, I think our customers, if we speak to our customers, the knowledge and the will, also that they will do something in sustainability. And for me also, or also for them, I think sustainability, this should be a standard. We should not discuss about shall we do it or shall we do it not. So it should be a standard, and I think we are on the good way. And but we have to show also the customer, if they buy some textiles, you said before, if they buy it, how we have to show them easily that they know, okay, if I buy this brand or this product, it's good, and I can buy it with a good feeling also.
Yeah. Do you have some certain things on your agenda in your company where you say, okay, we need to improve this special step in the production or this methodology how we are working? Is there anything you are working on right now?
Yeah, for sure. As I said before, we are cradle to cradle gold, so we are on a high level. In a point of chemicals and also energy consumption, we can do a CO neutral production with Swiss biogas. We have only European and Swiss water electricity. So I think we are on a high level, but still every day we have to improve. I don't have a big focus at the moment where I can say, okay, this is the big jump we can do, for example, dyeing without water or something. But I think every day to be open, to get in contact with good partners, with production companies, and to work out and to be open some new ways how we can produce the fabric.
Yeah.
But the big change I don't have at the moment. I have to be honest.
Sönke, you know big parts of the, and Angela, you as well, big parts of the supply chain. Are there certain fields in the textile supply chain where you see the highest potential to save huge amounts of energy or water?
Yeah, I would say back in 2018, we produced a measuring fashion study where we looked at the global impact of the apparel and footwear supply chains. And there we looked, by life cycle stage, and it was the dyeing and finishing stage that we identified as having the highest carbon impacts. So there, I think there's a lot to be done. So new technologies that use less water, that use less energy in order to get the dyeing complete. So this is, I think, one big lever for action. But then it's, what is the one facility? What kind of power do they have to make change? So I think it's where we need to get, local governments and policy involved. Like you were saying earlier, Urs, that if the energy is just too cheap, there's no incentive to do anything differently. So we have to, I think, work together on this. So
would you say politics should do more, put more pressure on all
yes,
this?
I think that it's needed. So yeah.
All right, yeah.
Maybe also some or the big challenge for us. So the values, 25% of the world out of the worldwide textile production is never coming in the store because overproduction and waste production. Another 25% of the textiles have a lifetime less than 6 hours, so one-time wearing after staying in the store, and that's it. So I think there we have a big challenge for the future to make also a quick production. So this is also one goal we have, to produce the amount of fabric that is going directly in the stores. So the way of the fabric, to make this way much more quickly. And then I think we can do a lot of a big impact in saving energy if we see this 50% of textiles which not necessary.
Yeah, that's a good point. We had some panels today with that dealt with digital product development, digital design, because they wanted to eliminate sampling, and because many companies still have huge sampling costs, and they produce collections, many pieces, and that then will be ordered or not, and then you cut out the half, and they go to the stores, and you have no one is going to shop them, and they go to the outlets or another channels and so on. So yeah, that's a good point. That might be a good point to be more efficient in the supply chain as well, right? Yeah, cool. Yeah, I really enjoyed talking with you. It's really interesting to dive into this field, although it's quite complex, I think, but you made it like tangible and visualized it with your tool quite interestingly. So I think we are on the we are closer to the finishing line with our discussion. So I really enjoyed it, and I would like to ask you one last question, every one of you. Like, if you think about the sustainability of the textile industry, maybe if you should put this in 1 or 2 buzzwords, what kind of words come to your mind? Maybe Angela, maybe you could start. What comes to your mind?
That's a really good question. Yeah, I would say that I think that we really need to work together. Collaboration, I think, is the key, because we share a lot of the same supply chains, and we have to have impact together. And one person coming with their voice, we go further together. So,
thank you, Sönke. What comes to your mind?
I mean, we want, especially with this tool, to bring customers in the position to, take fact-based and kind of data-driven decisions, right? And that they can promote a more sustainable and clean future. And simultaneously, we know there's uncertainty out there, data-wise, business strategy-wise, etc. But you cannot do everything at once. So my and our message would be, you have to start somewhere and take action.
Oh, so you already took action?
Yes, every day we are taking action. But I see it the same. We have a long way in front of us, and a lot of goals to reach, and a lot of potential And I can only say we have to do something, we have to follow a way, and then we will also change something, and we have a lot of potential to improve.
Yeah, thank you, Urs. Thank you, Angela and Sönke. Very constructive discussion, very motivating last word from Urs. So it was a pleasure. I hope, and to the audience, I hope you enjoyed it as well and got some insights into how transparency in the supply chain could be reached, how carbon footprints and water footprints could be visualized. So I'm really interested how this will work out in the next years, how which we will see, if we will have a forecasting, if the label will change within its usage, and the washing cycles will be included or not. Yeah, really will follow this this tool and this discussion. And yeah, thank you for taking the time and for being connected at Fashion Sustain Conference, Angela, Sönke, and Urs. It was great fun, and maybe hopefully you join us tomorrow as visiting guests and follow the conference as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So now, this was the last panel for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Quite a complex topic, quite some tough things to learn, to dive into the production facilities of Urs and learn about the carbon footprint, about the water saving possibilities. Yeah, I think we had a great day. Thank you to everyone back home or in the office, on your devices, on your computers, your smartphones, wherever you followed us. We started with Amber Sloten. She put a focus on the virtual world of fashion and how NFTs might change the fashion world forever, or at least in parts. That was quite interesting for me. So then we wove our way into the fabric of reality with, for example, Esther Perband, who showed us old world and new world and how one could develop in this context. Besides that, we shed a light on the importance of data. We went to the server room with Marco Polo and PwC and Westphalia Data Labs and discussed the importance of platforms and AI and forecasting. So we learned something about the challenges of local designers and their ambition to produce and sell locally. And also we had a discussion round about the denim industry, quite interesting, because we know that it's an industry that has a huge market share and also a huge consumption of energy and water. Yeah, and just now we talked about carbon and water footprints and how it can be measured and improved, and many more things. So I hope you took some interesting information out of all this. Tomorrow we will put the focus on the new retail, the state of retail. And I think this will be a really, really interesting day. So I can only motivate you to tune in. And we will, of course, have a recap from this day. This will be live on the social networks of Fashion Sustain Conference in around some 30, 50 minutes, about 5:30. So if you missed the panel, or if you want to check afterwards how it was again, we will have a recap movie clip on the social media channels then. So that's from my side. I hope you enjoyed the day. I did. And I hope the Fashion Week will swing on like it did today and yesterday. Yeah, and I would like to say you good afternoon, good evening, and until next time. Thank you very much.